Hello everyone. So tomorrow it's the announcement of the winner of the International Dublin Literary Award, and I'm very excited for it because I think this prize is really special. I had just heard of it this year for the first time, but it has been going on for a long while and it's quite respected. But I think that the two things that it does that are the most exciting is it doesn't differentiate between translated and originally in English literature, which I think it's quite interesting because even though I recognize why that is done often because of the translation changes things, at the end of the day, as a reader, if you have different prices, most people will follow the English ones, like the Booker instead of the International Booker, and then that will limit the amount of books that people read from other places. So I think that combining the two is a very interesting way to tackle that. And the other thing that I really like is that it is focused mainly on sort of backlisted books. So the prize this year deals with books that were published in English in 2018, so 2 years ago. They are not incredibly old, but they are still not the newest, which means that most libraries will have them. And that is because this prize is organized by libraries. Libraries can nominate books, and then a panel of judges, which are part of the library community as well, choose the shortlist from all those nominated books. And something that I also like they do is that they put in their website the whole list of nominations, so the hundreds of books that were nominated, it's not like, again, the Booker or many other prizes which do not show what was the pool they were choosing from in the first place. Here you know what they were choosing from, and then you have a short list of 10 books, and then the winner, which will be announced tomorrow, and I'm very excited for it. So when I first heard about this prize, I decided I wanted to participate somehow. And when I looked at the list of books that were shortlisted, I saw that I had read already quite a few of them. So I decided to read them all in preparation, and I finished the last one yesterday. So I thought I will tell you a little bit about the books that are nominated and the ones that are my favorites to win, and a bit of why as well. So the first one we have is All the Lives We Never Lived by Anuradha, and this book follows a boy in India around between the two world wars. So it was still they were still dealing with the British in quite a strong way. And this book is about this boy's parents. So the father was a political activist and the mother was an artist, but she felt very constricted in her art within the community they were living, because it was a small community and she could not be herself, she felt. So when a couple of Europeans come around, she decides to live with them to Indonesia and live in Indonesia, and be fulfilled as an artist. And in that process she has to leave her son behind. So it explores a lot about what motherhood is, and those choices that we have to make between being a good mother or being free and herself. And the similar things happen for the father. This kid is alone for a few years in the middle. And I think that the topics that it explored were quite powerful, but I did not feel like the novel explored them as much as it could have. So this one is in the okay category for me. The next book in the list is An American Marriage by Tayari, and I have read this one, and I hated it. So this one follows a couple, the newly married couple, and the man is sent to jail for a crime he did not commit, and it's about these two people dealing with that sentence. She knows that he didn't commit that crime, but still she has to deal with the fact that he is not there. And she's supposed to be very strong and very feminist and all that. She's not. She's not. She's just keeps doing whatever people tell her to do, and this relationship was not healthy in the first place. I think that there's a lot of violence within that relationship, and I just don't think it was a good book. I didn't like the characters, and the choices they made were just did not fit with what we were told they were. So I didn't like that, and I hope it doesn't win. Also, it won the Women's Prize, so it has had its fair amount of buzz, more than I think it deserves. So I hope that one doesn't win. The next one in the list is Disoriental by Négar Djavadi, and I read this a few weeks ago, and I absolutely loved it. So this one is about an Iranian family, in which the father has also political activities, and because of that the family has to flee to Paris in France, and then so we follow two parallel stories of the younger daughter of the family. So she, in the present day, she is dealing with fertility issues and the struggle if she wants to become a mother or not, despite her love life not being the most stable. And then we go back to when she was a child in Iran, and even before she was born, like her whole family history, and we learn a lot about the historical background of Iran and the cultural background of Iran, but also a lot about what happens when someone moves their country, and the parts of themselves they have to lose to become comfortable in the new place, because the cultures normally don't match, so there's always something that you have to lose. And that's why this book is called Disoriental, because she has to remove a part of her Oriental identity from herself to be able to live in France in a comfortable way, in a way that she can interact with the rest of society. And also I like that because she's not from Europe or from France, she makes every now and then this commentary about European culture seen from an outsider, and how ridiculous some of the things that we do are. So I really liked all that conversation about migration. I think that was brilliant. And also the conversation about motherhood. I think that's something that is always welcome for me. So yeah, that one is definitely high on my list of things that could win this prize and should win this prize. The next one is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk, which of course she has won the Nobel Prize, and this one also won the International Booker. And I read it also recently, and personally I thought it was I like how Olga Tokarczuk writes. I like her language, which feels poetic and simple at the same time. But the story of this book, we follow an older woman in a village in Poland, and there is a murder that happens, and she's kind of trying to investigate what is happening with that. And this woman is supposed to be quirky and like unlikable at the same time, and I just found her boring. and like she was going into a lot of cliches, so I couldn't connect with her, and that made me not care about the novel so much. So although I recognize why she's on this list, it's not my favorite to win. The next one is Story of Violence by Édouard. I read this was the last one that I finished yesterday, and I read this in French, so I cannot comment about the translation. But if we focus on the story, so this tells the story that is autofiction, and it's about the protagonist being one night outside in Paris and being raped, and what we follow him on that day, and we follow him afterwards when he goes to the hospital and they're reporting to the police, and because it was a gay rape and he is gay, and because he is Algerian, the police doesn't treat him with the respect that they should, and it has commentary on that. It has commentary on the rape itself, of course, and the safety of people. It was brutal. Reading was very brutal, and I think it was a very emotional read. It was hard to read sometimes, but it's quite a good. I mean, if a novel can make you feel those ways, it's because it's a powerful one, right? So I think this one it's a good one as well. I didn't connect with the themes personally as much as with Disoriental, but I will not be mad if this one wins either. Also because it has not had the recognition in the English-speaking world as much as it should. So I think this will be a great opportunity. The next one is Milkman by Anna Burns, and this one also won the Booker Prize 2 years ago. And this one is about this girl in Northern Ireland that is being stalked by an older man, and it's about so many things as well. It's about her not knowing what to do because people blame her for the relationship with this man, even though she has not done anything to deserve that attention. And just because she's a bit different than the rest of the people, like for example, she talks a lot about reading while walking throughout the city, and people find this strange, and they say, well, if you stop doing that, maybe this man will stop harassing you, which is heartbreaking. And of course it's Northern Ireland, so it also has some of the troubles woven into the story. And I know this one is a very divisive one because it's written in a very stream of consciousness style. It's a very long paragraphs and very long sentences, and I thought I would not gel with that, but actually I loved it. I found the experience very immersive in the way it was written. So yeah, I really like this one. I can understand why people have troubles with it, but I really like this one, and I will not mind it to win, even though I think that because it already won the Booker and it was shortlisted for the Women's Prize, if I'm not mistaken. I think that maybe some other less known book can get the prize and get a little bit of buzz, but this one, if we're only looking at literary merit, I think this one would be a great winner as well. Then we have The Friend by Sigrid Nunez, and this one I read it some time ago, so I don't remember all the details, but it was basically about this woman whose best friend dies, and he had a very big dog, so nobody knows what to do with the dog, and she ends up taking care of him and build a relationship with a dog, even though she never considered herself a dog person. And as a non-dog person myself, I couldn't connect with this novel either. If I remember correctly, they were all academics as well, and sometimes they had these rather pretentious conversations, in my opinion. But I didn't connect with the characters. I didn't connect with this struggle about a dog. So yeah, this one is not my favorite either. Then we have The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, and this one is a retelling from the point of view of Briseis of the Trojan War. The Iliad, but well, focus on the beginning of the Trojan War, I would say. And this one again is one that I read, I think, around when it came out, 2018, 2019. And I also didn't like it because it's sold as a retelling, as a feminist retelling of the story of Achilles. But it's not. It's not that. We do have the voice of Briseis instead of the one of Achilles or Patroclus, which are the others that are most known. But that doesn't mean that there's a feminist one, because Briseis in this book doesn't care about women. She cares about herself. She was part of the royal family of one of the smaller towns around Troy that was conquered before they went to Troy, and she was very comfortable in her position at that time. And when the soldiers came and she was forced to be a slave after she was captured, then she doesn't like that. She loses her privilege and she doesn't like that. But the only thing that she wants is to go back to what she was, ignoring completely the fact that her dad and her brothers also had slaves that were treated like she was being treated now. So I found it it's a very white feminism, very privileged feminism, if at that. Also, there was a lot of parts about that were just focusing on Achilles, and there were no women in that part. And I understand those were included so that the story of Troy made sense, to explain what was happening in Troy, which was obviously only men in the battlefield. But if you're selling it as a feminist retelling, that doesn't have a place there. So yeah, I was not impressed by it. I think that if we are talking about feminist retellings of Greek myths or Greek tragedies and the Iliad and the Odyssey, I think 1,000 Ships is so much better than The Silence of the Girls. So I'm hoping this one doesn't win either. The next one is There by Tommy Orange. And again, I read this a couple of years ago, so all the details are not super fresh in my mind. But this one was, it follows several characters that are Native Americans, and it follows their story until they all converge in this powwow at the end of it. And I thought that it was very interesting to read from Native American people. The author himself is Native American, and he gives us a new view on Native American life, and I really appreciated that. However, I think that it follows too many characters. It was confusing to follow who was who at some point, because they are all interconnected in different ways, but it's like 12 different people, so you have one chapter from each person, and by the time you go back to the first person, you probably forgot a lot about them. And at some point I made this graph to be able to follow all the connections, but then I couldn't enjoy the novel for what it was because I was so concentrated on understanding the connections between all of them. So yeah, I think this will have worked better with less characters, also because some of the stories were quite similar, so it's not like every single one gave a completely new and mind-blowing perspective on what it is to be Native American. So I think that this would have been a bit better if we had less perspective on it. But yeah, overall it was good. I would not be mad if it wins. It's not my favorite. So yeah. And then the last one is Washington Black by Edugyan. And this one is following young boy, black slave boy in the Caribbean, that is it's gifted to the brother of the plantation master, and this brother is very adventurous and is trying to make maps and things, and is interested in biology, so he travels all around the world and he wants to take this boy with him to help him. And we follow the story of this boy and what he went through in those travels. It is a really fun adventure story with some social commentary, which I really enjoyed. I think that some of the topics that it explores were not explored as much in depth as I usually like, but I don't think that was the point of the novel. I think so yeah, I think that it was overall a very good book, a really enjoyable book. I think it's a lot of fun, so if you have not read it, I would recommend. And again, it's similar to There. I will not be mad if it wins, but it's not my favorite. So yeah, those are all the books, a little bit of what I think about them. So a bit to recap, I think that Disoriental and History of Violence are my two favorite, Disoriental especially, and also Milkman, it's high up there, and the only reason I would have against Milkman is that it has already won prizes and had its buzz, and the ones that I absolutely want not to win is An American Marriage and The Silence of the Girls, because I think they are sold as something that they are not, and what they are is not really that impressive. So yeah. And then, well, The Friend is not, I also don't particularly want it to win, and the other four I think I would be okay with. Not my favorite, but I would be okay with. Let me know if you are also following the Dublin Literary Award, if you have followed it in other years, what you think about these books, which one would you want to read, which one would you want to win, and until next video, bye.